Hello everyone, and I am back, and we are going to do another month of Franchise Hockey Manager 8 with my LA Kings Historical Challenge. The face gen stuff is not getting any better. It looks like I have a gash under my lip there, all that black stuff. Anyway, that's quite an aside. Alright, so I have a trade offer that I have submitted. That's the part where we get to see if they have fixed some of how the AI reacts. So there was a way in last year's game. Whew, I just woke up from my nap. Alright, so there was a way in the previous game where you could tell if the trade was going to go through depending on what your assistant manager was going to say about the trade. So I guess we're about to find out if that's what's going to happen now, because with the verbiage and last year's way that things were working, I think that the trade is going to go through. So I will be upfront here since the start of the stream, and with the limitations that I have put on myself for acquiring players. I had targeted Reborg from the start. I mean, come on, right? So, but it didn't matter what I threw at the Bruins; they would not part with him. So I think that they've put him on the untouchable list or something like that. So I had to find other ways to make my team better. So I decided to attack a different area of need on my team. So we'll see if that works. We'll see if it's a trade that's really gonna hurt me or make me better. I don't know yet. I don't even know if it's gonna go through. But anyway, all that to say that we are going to go further here and see if we can get things going. We have Dave Taylor still day to day. Is he on the lineup still, or? Yeah, okay. So he's playing Art, a true warrior, right? And as far as standing goes, we are doing much better. We are third in the Campbell Conference, and it's only because of the way that they seed things back in the day. We have more points than Chicago, but we are, Chicago's seeded second because they're first of their section. So we're gonna need to supplant the Edmonton Oilers if we want to be, at the top. That's what that means. So we're gonna do December today. I have a slow cooker lasagna that is gonna be ready like right when I think that I'm gonna be done here. So that's what I'm gonna need to stop for today. Alright, so we are going to be hosting the Maple Leafs today. Toronto is 8-15-2. They are 9th out of 10 teams in our conference, and we are 1-0 against them. We beat them 6-3 this season. Let's go ahead and play this game. Alright. Alright, so the Leafs are going to send Ken Reggett in net. We are going to go with Raleigh Melanson. And of course, go Kings go today. We need another great month like we've had in November to kind of secure our spot there. And we start on the right foot. 5-3 victory here against the Leafs. Shots were 37 shots apiece. Bob Carpenter was Bob Carpenter was the first of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Dave Veitch, I believe is his name, was the second star with an assist, and Steve Duchesne was the third star with 2 assists. Sellout crowd again at the Forum in Inglewood, 16,005. That's the max we can have. Toronto actually scored first in this game, but then we scored 3 unanswered goals in the first. Paul Fenton scored from Gord Deneen and Wayne Gretzky. Then Bob Kudelski from Doug Crossman and Steve Duchesne. Bob Carpenter from Marty McSorley and Mike Krushelinski. 3-1 Kings here after 1. The Leafs scored in the second period, made it 3-2, so they came to within one. All that time, no fights, believe it or not. And then the Leafs tied the game early in the third period, but shortly after, Bernie Nichols scored unassisted. It was the game-winning goal at the time. It was 4-3. Then we added another goal in an empty net. John Tonelli from Bob Carpenter and Steve Duchesne. 5-3, the victory here against the Leafs. All right. I don't know how long it's gonna take to the other team to get back to me after my trade offer. Dave Richter has been put on waivers by the Blues. We're not gonna pick him up. He is not an upgrade. Good game for Joe Sakic. He had a hat-trick against the Wings. 19-year-old Joe Sakic. Board confidence update. Bruce McNally is happy with my work. Of course he is. We went 12-1-1 last month. We only had one loss. That's pretty incredible, especially after the month of October that we had. Dave Taylor is almost ready to go. Alright, Dave, come back to us. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and advance. McCammon could be on last chance as Canucks coach. Oh, Bob McCammon is in trouble because, of course, the Canucks are terrible this season. They are 3-26. Whew. They're taking the Washington Capitals spot here in my typical stream/videos. Right, so Bob McCammon not doing too good as the coach in Vancouver. Dave Taylor is back. No more injuries for the 32-year-old. And Detroit wants to move Gilbert Delorme, Alpha Star defenseman. Quebec, Vancouver, and Toronto are believed to be interested in the Alpha Star defenseman. Alright, we are now hosting the Chicago Blackhawks. They are 12-13-1. And that's good for second in the... So they are atop of their division but with a losing record. That's how things were back then. Alright, so we are 1-0 against the Hawks this season. It was a 6-3 victory in Chicago. Let's see if we can beat them again. Ed Belfour is going to be in net for the Hawks. We're going to go with Glenn Ely for that one. Oh, we lost 5-4 in overtime. So again, I have to reiterate, there is no point earned in the standings for losing in overtime in 1988. It's just a regular loss. The rules change much further in the future. So yeah, that one hurts. We should have won that. We got outshot 37-33 in that one. Doug Wilson was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Bernie Nichols was the second star with 2 goals, and Dirk Graham was the third star with a goal and an assist. We had a sellout crowd yet again. Luke Robitaille opened up the scoring in the first period from Jim Fox and Steve Duchesne. Then Bernie Nichols scored his 10th from Paul Gay and Gord Deneen. It was 2-0 at that point. Then the Hawks scored, and then Wayne Gretzky scored from Gord Deneen and Jim Fox. 3-1 LA Kings against the Blackhawks after one. In the second period, the Hawks scored 3 unanswered goals, so they were up 4-3 after 2. There were a few fights in the second period as well. Let's see what we have here. So Tom Laidloff fought Phil Sykes. Wayne Gretzky fought Gary Nyland. I'm not even making that up. Marty McSorley fought Dave Manson. And then in the third period, Bernie Nichols tied the game from Dave Taylor and Steve Duchesne. It was 4-4. There was a fight between Gord Deneen and Wayne Presley. We added into overtime, and then Troy Murray played the hero with the overtime winner for the Blackhawks. And we had another fight in overtime because, yes, Marty McSorley fought Gary Nyland. Alright, so a loss for the Kings here. Dean Kennedy is becoming more comfortable playing at left defense. Alright. Works for me. I always like versatility. Right, now we have a 3-day break before we host the Winnipeg Jets, and I think it's going to be one of those because it's we're going to play them twice at home in a row, so I think one of them is going to be at a neutral site. Alright, and I see that my trade went through. Now I almost regret doing it. Oh well, I'm going to have to live with what's going on here. Alright, so Lindsay Carson is on waivers from Hartford. We're not going to pick him up. Good game for Chris Chelios. He had 4 assists against the Buffalo Sabres. So, of course, Chris Chelios in my universe is so with Montreal. He hasn't done the things that he is rumored to have been doing that kicked him out of Montreal. They are rumors, so I already talked about them on stream before, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. Strong night for Claude Lemieux. He had a hat-trick against the Buffalo Sabres in that same game. Mats Naslund also had a great game there. 5 assists. Yeah, that's pretty good. Stéphane Richer had a hat-trick. Also a good game. Yeah, they won 9-3, so there were a lot of potential for greatness in that particular game. Doug Bodger extends his goal streak to 5 games. He scored twice against the Islanders. In that same game, Mario Lemieux extended his point streak to 25 games with an assist. Good night for Mike Bullard. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Leafs. There was no stopping Wendell Clark in the same game. He had a hat-trick. And then the trade that I made that I almost regret making now. Maybe I should have pushed further for more, but I messed around with that trade for like a good 25 minutes before coming live, so we will have to deal with my decisions. Alright, so we traded with the Washington Capitals. So I sent Bernie Nichols and John English to the Washington Capitals. It's hard to find players that are going to make me better, or that at certain position that fits the ARG limitation. And I got Mike Gartner in return and Mike Ridley. Alright, so that's 2 players that I could get, Ridley and Gartner. So it sucks to lose Bernie Nichols, of course, and now I'm wondering, could I have had more somewhere else for him? We're gonna have to be happy. Mike Gartner is a great player. He's a 4.5-star right winger, and he was a great player. He's gonna fit really good on that first line with Luc Robitaille and Wayne Gretzky. That's gonna be a killer line. Plus, Mike Gartner never won the cup in his life, and the goal is for me to win the cup. So if I can win the cup with him, I'm changing history for Mike Gartner, and I'm letting him win the cup. Mike Ridley is a okay center. He's a 3-star center. He's pretty good. So that kind of helps, moving on from Bernie Nichols. I don't have like a glaring hole at center. So I thought it would make sense for that. And also the thing with Mike Gartner is that I went... so here's the thing. When you do a historical challenge, and I despise, want to set it on fire, hate this feature. But recalc is on. I hate recalc. I like to have the engine kind of change things a little bit, to have a few surprises along the way. So I made sure that Gartner doesn't have like a steep decline in the near future, so that I don't get drilled in the elbow by making that trade, and he's staying pretty good, so we shouldn't be seeing a big drop. Now, if you remember last year, I had an issue with my Tampa Bay run, where Nikolai Bibulin, because he missed an entire year due to contract disputes, I believe, and he played in some other league, like he went from a 4-star goaltender to a 2-star goaltender because, you know, recalc is on, and he lost talent because he didn't play in the NHL that year, which was completely retarded as far as I'm concerned. So I made sure if I made a trade that that kind of crap is not going to happen with Gardner, and it shouldn't. So we have a capable center, 3-star, pretty good, and then we have an elite right winger finally to play with Gretzky and Luc Robitaille. I still need to shore up my D, I know that, but that's my first step. Like I said, I don't make a million trades at a time, so that's my first step into trying to make things better. Oh, I'm gonna have one too many player now. No, I don't. Wait. No! Oh, I made that mistake again. Didn't I? Oh, goody. I did the same mistake last year once. You would think that I had learned. So you get the email and the trade doesn't go through. You have to go in there and say that you still accept the trade. Trying to figure out if there's a way that I can get back. I think there might be somewhere a way where I can look at my... I might have to reset that trade to go through. Because I'm a moron. Here. I'm gonna need to redo that trade. I still want to do it. All right. Alright, give me that email again, unless there's somewhere where it... I thought that there was somewhere where it would show, but... No, I guess not. Alright, we'll move forward. We'll just get the players a little bit later. Alright, so 2 more days of... Terry Ruskowski is available on waivers. He's a star and a half, so I'm gonna at least look at his ratings. Yeah. No bueno. Mario Lemieux, point streak ended at 25 games. The Bruins topped him. Didn't get a point in a 3-1 loss. There was no stopping Craig Simpson in Edmonton. He had a hat-trick against the Rangers. Pelle Eklund has a great game. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Devils. And Brian Glenn is suspended with the Calgary Flames. He's going to miss 2 games. Lee Norwood was hurt against the Canadiens. He is out for 7 months. See you next season, Lee Norwood. A fractured skull. Ouch. And Sean Burr is back from suspension in Detroit as well. So there we go. Now the Jets are in town, maybe. We are 1-1 against Winnipeg this season. They are 12-9-2. That's good for 6th in the conference. Pokey Reddick is going to be in net for Winnipeg. We're going to go with Raleigh Melanson. And we won 7-3, so 7-3 victory for the Kings. And that one, we outshot Winnipeg 35-34. Wayne Gretzky was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Dave Taylor was the second star with 2 assists. And Luc Robitaille was the third star with a goal. Again, a sellout at the Forum in Inglewood. 16,005 people in attendance. We scored 3 unanswered goals in the first period. Steve Duchesne scored from Wayne Gretzky and Dave Taylor. Luc Robitaille from Wayne Gretzky and Doug Crossman. And then Bernie Nichols from Dave Taylor and Gord Deneen. 3-0 Kings after 1. And in the second period, Wayne Gretzky scored from Jim Fox and John Tonelli. It was 4-0. Then the Jets scored, and then we scored again. Doug Crossman scored his first from Dean Kennedy and Bernie Nichols. 5-1 Kings after 2. Then the Jets scored twice in the third period, made it 5-3, and they were, within striking distance, but then we scored, with 9 seconds left, we scored in an empty net. It was Bernie Nichols from Paul Fenton and Tom Laidlaw, and then 5 seconds later, Marty McSorley scored his 5th on a goaltender. It was on an empty netter from Bob Carpenter and Ron Duguay. It was 7-3 at that point. That was the final score, 7-3 victory here against the Jets. Paul Fenton improves at right wing, that's good. Ron Francis has a strong game. Hi Kim, yes I am turning it around indeed. I had an incredible month of November. I had only 1 loss. So we're in a better position here, and I have a big trade that's right around the corner here, probably after the next time I press on the continue button. Did you choose your next team to play as? So I saw your tweet about that. Well, I also answered it. But did you finally choose a team? Right, so Ron Francis had a goal and 5 assists against Buffalo. That's a pretty good game. Cam Neely extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal here against the Islanders. Cool deal, the Wild. Yeah, that should work. I think you're going to be, well, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to have everything that's in there, but the Wild did buy out Zach Parise and Gary Sutter, so you might be a little bit strapped on the cap for the first few years because of that. I don't know. I don't know if it's grandfathered into the start of the game or not. Alright, this time I'm going to press on the button. My trade went through again. I'm not going to do the stupid thing two times in a row. Alright, so Paul Hook was put on waivers. We're not going to get him. Tim Lenardon, not going to get him. Rick Vive is on waivers. He's only a 1-star player at this time of his career. Ryan Walter is on waivers, and Greg Terrian, so I'm not going to get any of those guys. Alright, so it's the same trade that this time I'm just going to complete trade and not just delete the email. So Bernie Nichols and John English are still going to Washington for Mike Gartner and Mike Ridley. So hopefully that makes for a thundering first line for me. Let's complete the trade. There you go. Done deal. Now I'm gonna need to move somebody off of my might have to be Bob Kudelski. Is he waiver exempt? Yes he is. Alright, Bob Kudelski goes down at this point. That's okay. Alright, so that's going to be another game against the Jets at home. I've explained it a couple times. One of them, I am sure, was a neutral site game, but they don't really have them in the game, so it counts as a game in LA again. And then we're gonna go on a fairly long road trip. Alright, so we're playing the Jets for the second time in a row. This time they're gonna go with Alain Chevrier. We're gonna go with Glenn Ely. And that's a 5-2 victory for the Kings. So the new additions did not screw me over yet. We outshot the Jets 42-25 in that one. Mike Gartner, look at that. First game after the trade, Mike Gartner comes in, 2 goals and an assist. That's what I'm talking about. Wayne Gretzky was the second star with 2 assists, and Randy Ledouceur was the third star with an assist. Sellout crowd again in LA, 16,005 people, so that's pretty cool. The Jets opened up the scoring in that one, and then we scored twice. John Tonnelly from Randy Ledouceur and Wayne Gretzky, and then Mike Gartner scored his 25th on the power play from Wayne Gretzky. And then the Jets tied the game. It was tied at 2 here after 1. We had a fight as well in the first period. Marty McSorley fought Ian Duncan, so that happened. Right. Then Luc Robitaille scored in the second period. That was his 15th of the season on the power play from Mike Gartner. It was 3-2 for the Kings at that point. And as it would be, that was the game-winning goal. We headed into the third period with a one-goal lead, and Mike Gartner scored his second goal of the game from Mike Ridley. Look at that, Mike Ridley that I also acquired in that trade, and Steve Duchesne, and then Bob Carpenter scored in an empty net from Mike Krushelinski and Gordon Dean. 5-2 victory for the Kings. Pat Eleanuk extends his point streak to 12 games against us. He had 2 assists, so that's good for him. However, he lost the game. The Rat extends his assist streak to 8 games with a goal and an assist against the Buffalo Sabres. Cam Neely in that same game extended his goal streak to 6 games. That was a goal and an assist against the same Sabres. And Brian Glynn is back from suspension in Calgary, back in the lineup over there. So, so I'm gonna be waiting for JT Dutch's comments about the trade. The Kings is his team and everything, so I'm sure that he's gonna have comments one way or another about the trade that I made. Feels like I maybe could have gotten a little bit more for Bernie Nichols, but I did get a fantastic right winger. I think Mike Gartner gets a kind of a bad rap a little bit in the game because he never won the cup or anything like that, but he was a very efficient player for many years. Alright, we're heading on the road. We have one more day off here. Oh, is New York looking to move Paul Cyr? Because that's how you pronounce that last name in French. That's a French last name. C-Y-R is pronounced C. It would be pronounced the same way as the English words seer, like S-E-E-R, so you would pronounce it pretty much the same. Alright, so St. Louis, Washington, and Boston are looking at Paul Cyr and wondering if they are going to trade for him. I am not. Alright, we are in New York to face the Islanders. Islanders right now are 12-14-2. And we lost 6-0 against them earlier this season, so we are definitely going to be looking at avenging that horrible loss. Oh wow, I thought that Mike Ridley would end up on our third line, but turns out that I traded the guy that was effectively my second line center, even though he was a 5-star player, and I ended up getting in return a second line center that has probably ratings that fit a little bit more a second line center, and a first line right winger. It's hard to complain about that kind of return. So Next, I'm gonna try to attack the D there. I'm still not super happy with my D. Well, anytime you have Marty McSorley playing on your first pairing, you shouldn't be too satisfied with your D there. Alright, so we are in Uniondale to face the Islanders. We're going to have Rolly Melanson in net for that one. Billy Smith is going to try to not decapitate someone in that game. He's going to be in net for the Islanders. That's a 4-1 victory for the Kings. Alright, we are on a... Well, we did lose that overtime game, but we're still on a roll, kind of. That's 2 losses in, what, almost 2 months now? Well, month and a half. Alright, 4-1 win here against the Islanders on the road. Nonetheless, we outshot the Islanders 34-28. Doug Crossman was the first out of the game. He had 3 assists. Mike Gartner, freshly acquired, is liking his new environment in LA. He had 2 goals and an assist, and he is the second star of the game. Jim Fox was the third star with an assist. Wayne Gretzky opened up the scoring in the first. It was his 35th of the season on the power play from Doug Crossman and Mike Gartner. Sorry, that's the time of the day where I'm fighting with that curtain there so that there's not so much glare in my face. Alright. So 1-0 after 1. Then in the second period, one of my favorite players growing up, Pat LaFontaine, scored for the Islanders, tied the game at 1, and then Mike Gartner scored from Doug Crossman and Luc Robitaille. It was 2-1 Kings after 2. Then in the third period, Mike Gartner scored on the power play. That was an unassisted goal, made it 3-1, and then Mike Krushelinski scored his 5th from Doug Crossman and Jim Fox. 4-1 victory. There was a fight also in the third period between Bob Basson and Dave Taylor. That's pretty much it. I'm not gonna start too much, but with that kind of run that I'm on, makes you wonder if it's going to take me the 10 years to win the cup. I tend to be really unlucky in the playoffs usually, so I'm not going to start thinking too highly of myself or anything, but the Kings are playing really well lately, so we do have a decent team, at least offensively for sure. Wayne Gretzky extends his point streak to 12 games, so with his goal, that was a 12 straight game with a point. The Rat, Ken Linzman's assist streak ended at 8 games. He was held scoreless against the Rangers. Pat Elenock's point streak ended at 12 games. No point against Edmonton for him. Steve Larmer is suspended in Chicago. He's going to miss 5 games. Steve Larmer, when you were playing NHL 95 on the old Genesis, he would always win the Lady... not the Lady... Wait, is it the Lady Byng? No, the Selkie. Steve Larmer would always win the Selkie every time. Didn't matter. It was programmed in the game. They didn't have a way to count that any other way. Alright. Brian Sutter tries to hang on to his job. So Brian Sutter, is he the coach? I believe they should be. So the Blues are 10-16-2, so not a great start. It's still a lot better than the Canucks, but still not very good. So there's rumors about him losing his job. So Eds are about to roll. Oh, looks like the Canucks won another game. They have 8 points this season. Woo! Go Canucks. Alright, we are in New York to face the Rangers. Rangers are 16-13-1. I had wished that they had fixed that. They haven't. So I know it's a very small thing, but it's been in the game forever. It's about time they change that. So if you look here, there's a little mistake. Alright, so I'm playing in 1988, right? So there's no points for overtime losses. I lost 6-5 against the Rangers in overtime earlier this season, so it should be a loss, but the record that it shows for me against them shows 0-0-1, as if I did lose in overtime, that's true. But showing it like that implies that I got a point, or in the universe I'm playing in, historical implies that I tied against them, which was not the case. That should be 0-1-0. It's been like that forever. I wish they would change it. Alright. Mini rant over. We're going to play the Rangers now. So we're 0-1 against them this season. We're going to send Glenn Ely in net. Doug Keynes is going to be in net for the Rangers. Go Kings! Oh yeah. 6-2 victory at Madison Square Garden for the Kings that seem pretty much unstoppable by now. Shots were 37 apiece, so another game where the shots were tied here, and we scored 3 times in the first period. John Tonnelly scored from Dave Taylor and Wayne Gretzky, then Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Dave Taylor and Paul Fenton, and then Luc Robitaille from John Tonnelly and Marty McSorley. 3-0 Kings here after 1. Then in the second period, the Rangers scored twice, and then Luc Robitaille scored unassisted. That was 4-2 for the Kings. There was a fight in period number 2. Thomas Sandstrom fought Marty McSorley. Sandstrom playing for the Rangers, not the Kings. In case that you remember, Thomas Sandstrom and Patrick was Wink in the playoffs. And then in the third period, Bob Carpenter scored his 10th from Gord Deneen and Tom Laidlaw, and then Chris Contos scored his 5th from Paul Gay and Steve Duchesne. 6-2 victory here for the Kings. Wayne Gretzky extends his point streak to 13 games. He had a goal and an assist in the game against the Rangers. Big game for Ray Bork, whom I tried so hard to acquire prior to coming live. That was the target I wanted for Bernie Nichols, but nothing I did worked. They just didn't want to move him. So, big game for him. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Montreal Canadiens. Alright, we have one more day off, then we're going to be in Pittsburgh to play against the Penguins. That should be an interesting game. They are pretty good. Mario Lemieux is kind of good at hockey a little bit. Dino Ciccarelli extends his goal streak to 5 games, a goal and 2 assists against the Red Wings. I like Dino. Open Ice leads to a productive night for Cliff Running, playing in St. Louis. He had 4 assists against the Devils. In a great night for Pat Verbeek in New Jersey. He had 3 goals against the Blues. Okay, we are in Pittsburgh facing the Pittsburgh Penguins. We did win against them 4-3 earlier this season. So it's the second matchup of the season of Mario against Wayne. Roland Melanson is going to be in net for us. Wendell Young is going to be in net for Pittsburgh. I don't know if I mentioned it. They are 17-11-1, so kind of a similar record to ours. They played a few less games than us. Oh, we lost 5-4. Alright, so that was a well-fought battle, but we dropped by 1 goal. That happens. We were outshot 33-30 in that game. Mario Lemieux was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Mike Gartner was the second star. 2 goals, 2 assists. Participated to all of our goals. And then Zardy Zalewski was the third star with a goal and an assist. Alright, that... Too much... Yeah, we didn't do good enough in the first period. We allowed 3 unanswered goals. We were out 3-0 after 1, so that's no way to start the game. There was a fight in the first between Paul Coffey and Dean Kennedy. Can't say I remember seeing Paul Coffey fighting. Doesn't mean it never fought. I mean, that guy for a defenseman was a highlight reel, wonder. So you remember that a lot more about Paul Coffey. All right, then in the second period, Tom Laidlaw scored from Luc Robitaille and Mike Gartner. Then Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Mike Gartner and Steve Duchesne. So we came from within one, but Pittsburgh scored, made it 4-2. Then in the third period, Mike Gartner scored on the power play from Dean Kennedy and Wayne Gretzky. We were within one again, but then Pittsburgh scored, made it 5-3. We came back to within one 19 seconds later. Mike Gartner scored his 30th of the season from Luc Robitaille and Wayne Gretzky. But we just couldn't muster one more goal, so we dropped by one here. 5-4 the final score. There was a fight in the third period. Rob Brown fought Tom Laidlaw. And that was pretty much it. Gretzky did extend his point streak to 14 games in a game. He had a goal and 2 assists. So that happened, but we didn't win. So yeah. Alright, dynamic passing leads to productive night for Aaron Broughton of the New Jersey Devils. He had 5 assists against the Toronto... Oh, so those are the kind of scores you don't see today anymore. But in the 80s and the start of the 90s, you would see them from time to time. So New Jersey won 14-3 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Great night for Tom Carver. Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of Devils players having news there. Tom Carvers had 2 goals and 5 assists in that game. Red light stays on for Pat Verbeek, 4 goals and 2 assists. Red light stays on for Mario Lemieux. He had 5 goals against the Islanders. Oh, Jean Perron could lose his job as the coach of the Quebec Nordiques. He wasn't a coach there for all that long. Good night for Sylvain Turgeon. He had a hat-trick against the St. Louis Blues. That's crazy. Jean Perron, for a coach that won the Stanley Cup, didn't coach for all that long in the NHL. That's kind of crazy when you think about it that way, I guess. Alright, we're in Detroit to face the Wings. The Wings are 13-15-2. That's good for 7th in the Campbell Conference. We are 2-0 against Detroit this season. So Glenn Ede is going to be in net for us. And Greg Stefan is going to be in net for the Wings. Oh, we should have been winning that game. Instead, we lost 4-2. That's 2 losses in a row. We need, if we were Abs fans, after 2 losses in a row, we would be asking for the GM, the coach, the director of scouting, and about 15 of the players to be traded and or fired. Right, we lost 4-2. Alright, Detroit outshot us 49-33. Sean Burr was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Dave Taylor was the second star with 2 assists. Dave Barr was the third star with 2 assists as well. Alright, so it was probably really close to a full crowd there at the Joe. Over 20,000 people. Alright, so Detroit opened up the scoring in the first. It was 1-0 Detroit. Then in the second, Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Mike Gartner and Dave Taylor, tied the game at 1, but then the Wings took the lead right back. It was 2-1 after 2. Then we had a fight in the second period as well. Steve Chiasson fought Dean Kennedy. Then in the third period, Detroit made it 3-1. Then we had Dean Kennedy score from Mike Ridley and Dave Taylor. It was 3-2 Detroit. And Adam Oates put the game out for us with 4 seconds left in the game. He scored in an empty net. 4-2 Red Wings victory. Ooh, I don't know if Gord Dineen is gonna get suspended here. He got a boarding major. I don't have a whole lot of depth at D. No, he didn't even get looked at. Right, Wayne Gretzky extends his point streak to 15 games, so he did get a goal in that loss against the Wings, so he gets to have his streak to continue, so that's 15 games for him. Is Chris Kostopoulos about to be moved? I don't know. St. Louis, Vancouver, and Detroit are looking into that player. Alright, so now we're playing a second game in 2 nights. We are in Minnesota to play against the North Stars. They are 15 and 16. That's good for 5th in the Campbell Conference. We are 0-1 against Minnesota. If I remember correctly, that was the first game of the season we lost it 5-4. So we're gonna try to avenge that. Come on, Kings. We need a W here. Alright, so Melanson in net for us, Carey Taco in net for Minnesota. Alright, we won 5-1. We are back on the path of victory. Alright, the Kings outshot Minnesota 38-36 in that one. Marty McSorley was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Ronald Melanson was the second star with 35 saves. And Steve Duchesne was the third star with a goal and an assist. Alright, so we scored twice in the first period. Bob Carpenter scored on the power play from Marty McSorley and John Tonelli. Then Wayne Gretzky from Mike Gardner and Tom Laidlaw. It was 2-0 LA after 1. Then in the second period, Steve Duchesne scored from Mike Ridley and Marty McSorley, made it 3-0. Then Minnesota scored their lone goal, that was a power play tally. Then Dave Taylor scored on the power play as well from Paul Fenton and Marty McSorley. 4-1 Kings after 2. Right, and then in the third period, Doug Crossman scored short-handed from Mike Krushelinski and Steve Duchesne. It was a 5-1 score that held until the end of the game. There was a fight in the third as well between Bob Rouse and Doug Crossman. Right. Oh, we can't afford that. Steve Duchesne is hurt. No, hopefully it's not for very long. He's day-to-day. Alright. Stop scaring me like that, man. Alright, Steve Duchesne is day-to-day. Should miss about 6 days with a mild groin strain. Oh man, those can nag you all season long. I'm not speaking by experience, it's just what I've heard. Wayne Gretzky extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal in the victory against the North Stars, and that was 16 straight games with a point for him. Paul Coffey is day-to-day in Pittsburgh. So he's going to miss about a week. And the red light stays on for Paul McLean of Detroit. In that same game, he had 4 goals and an assist against Pittsburgh. Pretty good. I should have a spare defenseman. Yeah, Randy Ladouceur can draw in. He's not as good as Steve Duchesne, but that's going to have to do. Alright, so we have a few days off, and then we're going back home to play 2 quick games. Oh, there's some players on waivers. Let's see, we have Brad Berry, Randy Veliscek, David Bruce, and Randy Busick. Right. Looking at Randy Veliscek, because I can't claim him. Yeah, he's a 12. He's more of a defensive defenseman. Yeah, he's very similar to other players that I have right now. I mean, I would like trade him for like Tom Laidlaw, I guess. Very similar players. So at that point I would just be trading players for the sake of, or swapping players for the sake of swapping players. I think I'm just gonna hold on to Layla at this point. He's good at face punching, so that's always something. Alright, Murray Craven has a memorable game playing for Philadelphia. He had a hat-trick against the Jets. Alright, one more day off. Alright, so Dusan Pasek is on waivers from the North Stars. Bobby Dallas has been put on waivers by the Nordiques, and Pat Conacher has been put on waivers from New Jersey. Huh. Oh, there's been a trade. That might be why there's some movement here. So Pittsburgh and Minnesota made a trade. Rob Brown. Oh, Rob Brown is not gonna like that trade. Rob Brown likes playing with Mario Lemieux. He has nice stats playing next to Mario Lemieux, but he's been traded to the North Stars for Don Beaupre. So Don Beaupre is now a goaltender in Pittsburgh. 3.5-star goaltender. All right. So Rob Brown for Don Beaupre. Right, so we are hosting the Calgary Flames right now. So Flames are 17-10-6. That's good for 4th in the conference, right behind us. We are 1-1-1 against the Flames. Let's see if we can beat them again. Mike Vernon in net for the Flames. Glenn Ely in net for the Kings. Oh yeah, the Kings go back home, and that's a nice 7-4 win against the Flames. We outshot them 45-38. Luc Robitaille was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Wayne Gretzky was the second star with 3 assists, and Doug Crossman was the third star with an assist. And I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but Luc Robitaille. So there's a song. I don't know why it's called like that or anything like that, but there's a song called "Welcome Home, Luc Robitaille" by a band named Mando Diao or Mando Diao. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So I believe they're from Sweden. I think. Please don't hate me if I got this wrong. But yeah, they have a song called "Welcome Home, Luc Robitaille." The song, like the lyrics themselves, don't seem like they're talking about hockey or anything like that. But yeah, I always thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, all right. So 7-4 victory for the Kings. Chris Kontos was the first one to score a goal in the game that was unassisted. Puts us at 1-0. Then the Flames tied, but shortly after, well, not shortly after, but before the period ended, Dave Taylor scored from Bob Carpenter and Doug Crossman. 2-1 Kings here after 1. Oh dear God, the Flames took a bunch of penalties in the first period. And then we had a Dave Taylor and Jim Peplinski fight. But that was about it. Then in the second period, Mike Krushansky scored short-handed from Luc Robitaille and Marty McSorley. Then Luc Robitaille scored on the power play from Dave Taylor and Wayne Gretzky. 4-1 Kings after 2. Then in the third period, the Flames tried to make it interesting, so they scored a goal, made it 4-2. Then we scored. That was Paul Fenton's 10th of the season from Luc Robitaille and Wayne Gretzky. Then the Flames scored twice to come to within 1, but then Mike Gartner scored in an empty net, made it 6-4. And then 10 seconds later, he scored again against a goaltender from Tom Layla and Wayne Gretzky. 7-4 victory. So Mike Gartner is doing exactly what I went to get him for. He's scoring goals. That's the whole reason I got him. I wanted somebody that could play on the right wing with Wayne Gretzky that can put the puck in the net. Mike Gartner was a great choice for that. And as we know, he's scoring goals now. And I like it. Jeff Jackson has been put on waivers. So has Jim Kite. Wayne Gretzky extended his point streak to 17 with his 3 assists against the Flames. Oh, and Dusan Pasek was claimed by the Nordiques, so he didn't clear waivers. Right, and speaking of the North Stars, we are playing them right back again. So 4 games left here in December, so we have 2 games before Christmas. Oh, I wonder, so for a while, sometimes there would be games on Christmas, and then the NHL changed their calendars so that teams would always be off at Christmas. So I don't know if we are before or after that passed. All right, so North Stars are in town. They are 16-17 now. We are 1-1 against them. We just beat them 5-1 in Minnesota. I'm gonna hope to beat them again here on home ice. Oh, Jarmo Millis is going to be in net for Minnesota, and Raleigh Melanson is going to be in net for us, so I guess they don't have Don Beaupre anymore. I wonder if that makes Jarmo Millis the starting goaltender. And we won 8-4. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Man, we have Wayne Gretzky. I really want to see a 14-goal game for us at one point or something like that, and see Gretzky get 9 points or something crazy like that. Alright, so we outshot Minnesota 47-27. Wayne Gretzky was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Mike Gartner was the second star, 2 goals and 2 assists as well, and Gord Deneen was the third star with 2 assists. That was a full crowd at the Forum, 16,005. Wayne Gretzky opened up the scoring 14 seconds into the game. That was his 40th of the season. We're not even at Christmas, folks. Not even at Christmas, he has 40 goals from Mike Gartner and Luc Robitaille, and I'm still not satisfied. I'm here like complaining that he's not getting 9 points a game or something. Alright, then Minnesota tied the game, and then shortly after, Jim Fox scored from Randy Ladouceur and Mike Krushelinski. It was 2-1 for the Kings. Then Minnesota scored again. It was tied at 2. We scored 2 goals. Mike Gartner scored from Wayne Gretzky and Gord Deneen, and then Wayne Gretzky scored on the power play from Mike Gartner and Luc Robitaille. 4-2 Kings at that point, and then before the period ended, Minnesota added another goal. Oh, it was Rob Brown that he just acquired in a trade. 4-3 for the Kings after 1. Hey, Jero Nullet. Oh, so the Lakers and the Kings used to share the forum then. That's cool. I obviously wouldn't know that. I do now. But, yeah. Sorry, I played some expose action a little early for you, buddy, so you kind of missed that. Were there any fights on the first? No fights. Then in the second period, Mike Ridley scored from John Tonelli and Dave Taylor, made it 5-3 for the Kings. The North Stars didn't want to go away, so they scored again. It was 5-4. Then Chris Conto scored from Dan Grattan and Gord Deneen, 6-4 for the Kings after 2. We had a fight between Dean Kennedy and Bob Rouse. Then in the third period, Mike Gartner scored on the power play from Wayne Gretzky and Doug Crossman, and then Bob Carpenter from Dean Kennedy and Jim Fox. It was 8-4. That's our final score today. And there was another fight, Dean Kennedy and Craig Coxey? Anyway, this guy, it was a fight. And of course, that's the W for us. Randy Ladouceur is injured. Oh wow, his name is not even colored, so he's gonna be fine. Not too worried about it. Zeno Cicerelli extends his point streak to 12 games. He had an assist against us. Wayne Gretzky extends his point streak to 18 games with his 2 goals and 2 assist performance. That was pretty good. Passes on point for Larry Murphy with the Capitals. He had 4 assists against the Blackhawks. Suspension over for Steve Larmer in Chicago, and then Wendell Clark extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and an assist against Pittsburgh. Alright, let's take a look, because we play tomorrow, so I want to make sure that Randy Ladouceur can play Earth. That's the 80s, that's common. Alright, Stéphane Richer has a memorable game. He had a hat-trick against the Bruins. Oh, Brian Sutter got fired after all, so they got St. Louis got rid of their coach before Vancouver did, even though Vancouver is a lot worse. Blues were 12, 19, and 3 at the time of their firing, so Brian Sutter, not the coach of the Blues anymore. He was replaced by Herb Brooks. And then a strong game for Stevie Y. Oh yeah, a goal and 5 assists against the Blues. Actually, completely the reverse, the journal, that I am only the GM for now. I might change that. I don't know if you're familiar with franchise hockey manager, but being the coach in this game can be a little bit daunting, I guess is the right word. Like, you get day-to-day injuries, and then you have to go and replace your player real quick, and then you have to change the tactics, and you have to change his role and everything, and then the other player comes back a game later, and then you have another guy that's hurt, he's gonna miss 2 days, everything. And you know, for streaming purposes, it would be really, 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 thank you, Kim, very tedious. That's the word I was looking for. Darn French Canadians. Wait, that's me. Yeah, sometimes words get jumbled up in my brain, but tedious was the word I was looking for. So it can get really tedious, and for streaming, I'm like, you know what, I'm just not gonna do it. Not this year, so I might change it maybe down the line. I'm going to fire my coach and then fill in a little bit so that I can play with the tactics on screen and everything. I don't mind doing it. I'm not like afraid of doing it or something like that, because a lot of people have a hard time understanding how the tactics work in this game, and they pretty much work as a rock paper scissors system of sorts. So I'm not like that. It's not the reason. It's just tedious. All right, so we are in Vancouver to play against the Canucks. Oh, the Canucks have won 2 games since the start of the month. Look at that. They are on fire. The Canucks are 5-30 and not 13. Do not be fooled by the French accent. I did say 5-30 and 1. They are dead last, of course, in the Campbell Conference with only 11 points. We are 2-0 against them this season. I hope I don't lose against them. That would be very shameful. Glenn Ely in net for us. Kirk McLean in net for the Canucks. Oh, the shame. We lost 2-1 against them. Oh. We outshot them 34-21. Oh god, So I've always had problems pronouncing the name of the first star. So it's Harold Schneps, I think that it's pronounced, but I might have that wrong. So he had an assist. Wayne Gretzky was a second star with an assist, and Greg Adams was the third star with a goal. So Rick Lanz scored the first goal of the game for the Canucks. It was 1-0 Vancouver after 1. We had a fight between Mike Hartman and Marty McSorley. Then in the second period, the Canucks scored again, made it 2-0. Then Mike Ridley scored his 15th from Wayne Gretzky and Chris Kontos. It was 2-1 Vancouver after 2. Then nobody scored in the third, so yeah. I guess the team was already thinking about the Christmas vacation, right? That was December 23rd, right before the Christmas break. I guess the team didn't want to go to Vancouver to play a game, so they didn't show up. Alright, so Don Biggs is on waivers from the Flyers. I'm not going to pick this guy up. And then Doug Keynes is, whom I not discovered, but when I did the random debut last year, Doug Keynes was around, so we got to talk about him. Alright. I'm also not going to pick him up. Brian Bradley extends his assist streak to 8, so that was against us. He had an assist. Wayne Gretzky extended his point streak to 19 games, so despite the loss, he did get an assist in there. Wendell Clark extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal against Buffalo. Oh, that's going to hurt the Flames, which is good for us because they're trailing us in the standings. So the Flames lost Al McInnes for 7 weeks. Torn groin muscle. Gary Sutter extended his assist streak to 8 games, a goal and an assist for him. Oh, Mario Lemieux is hurt. He's gonna miss 5 weeks. Oh, that's gonna hurt Pittsburgh now. Don't forget that's 1988, right? So they don't have Jaromir Jagr to fall on during that injury. Right, good night for Bernie Nichols, so former LA Kings that I just traded this month to Washington. He had a goal and 4 assists against the Rangers. Right, Steve Duchesne is starting to feel better. And Jan Ludwig might be departing Minnesota. Boston, Winnipeg, and Pittsburgh are willing to trade for him, apparently. Alright. So now we have 3 days off. It's Christmas. So let's see if I get a crazy good trade offer that I cannot refuse as a gift for Christmas. Oh, Minnesota picked up Doug King's off waivers. Steve Duchesne is almost ready to come back. And there's 2 more games in December for us here today. Right, Steve Duchesne almost back. We need him. We don't have a whole lot of great puck-moving defensemen. Actually, he's pretty much the only good puck-moving defenseman we have. Oh, Peter Tagliancy is on waiver. Ooh. No, I might be interested by him, maybe. Maybe not. He's not rated that high. He's only a 1-star with 1.5-star potential. He's a defensive defenseman. He's very similar to my other defensemen that are very similar to him. So yeah, I'm just not gonna get him. Right, Ron Francis has achieved 600 points in his career, so he had 2 assists against Pittsburgh. Dan Quinn extends his goal streak to 5. Wait, what day is this? Oh, okay, that was the 26th. I was like, looks like there's teams that did play on Christmas, but they didn't. Right, so Dan Quinn had a goal against the Whalers, so that's 5 straight games with a goal for him. Zino Cicerelli extends his point streak to 13 games. He had a goal against the Jets. Wendell Clark extends his goal streak to 7 games. He had a goal against the Islanders. Brian Bradley extends his assist streak to 9 games with an assist against the Flames. Gary Sutter's assist streak ended at 8 games. He did get a goal against Vancouver, but no assists for him. Steve Duchesne is completely recovered from his injury, and so is Randy Ladouceur. Alright, so the Christmas break did good for my injured players. They are back here, and we are playing a pretty tough team. I hate saying that about that team too, but it's the Montreal Canadiens. I hate admitting that they are good, but in '88 they were pretty good. Alright, 21, 15, and 3 for the Canadiens. We are 0-1 against them. We did lose 6-4 at the Forum in Montreal. So now we're at the Forum in LA, so let's see if we win this one. Patrick was going to be in net for the Canadiens. Rolly Melanson is going to be in net for us. Come on, Kings. Oh yeah, we beat Montreal 7-4. We outshot them 33-28. Steve Duchesne celebrated his return into the lineup from injury with a hat trick, 3 goals and the first star. Wayne Gretzky was not too shabby either, second star with 4 assists, and Luc Robitaille was the third star with a goal and an assist. Sellout crowd in LA again, 16,005 people in attendance for that one. Bob Carpenter opened up the scoring in the first from John Tonnelly and Dave Taylor. Then Luc Robitaille scored from Jim Fox and Wayne Gretzky. It was 2-0 for the Kings after 1. Then in period number 2, I almost said inning number 2, that's the wrong sport. Paul Fenton scored from Chris Contos and Dan Gratton, made it 3-0. Then Montreal scored, made it 3-1. Then Steve Duchesne scored on the power play from Paul Fenton and Wayne Gretzky to make it 4-1. Then Montreal scored twice, it was 4-3, and right before the end of the period, Steve Duchesne scored his 10th from Mike Gartner and Wayne Gretzky. It was 5-3 for the Kings after 2. We also had a fight between Dave Taylor and Craig Ludwig. Then in the third period, Steve Duchesne completed his hat trick from Wayne Gretzky, made it 6-3. Then Montreal scored, and then John Tonnelly put the game away with 8 seconds left to go. That was an empty net goal from Luc Robitaille and Marty McSorley. We have a 7-4 victory. Stéphane Richer did get a 5-minute major here for boarding. Didn't get a game. I think for the game to look to see if there's going to be a suspension, I think there needs to be a game misconduct, and there wasn't one. Oh, scratch that. Stéphane Richer is suspended. He's going to miss 5 games, so there does not need to be a game misconduct. Maybe that was the case in last year's game, and maybe they changed it. I am not 100% sure. Big game for Steve Duchesne. I know I was there. That trick, that was beautiful. Night to remember for Wayne Gretzky, 4 assists, and that was 20 straight games with a point for him. Bobby Smith in that same game extended his assist streak to 8 games. He had 2 assists. Marcel Dion extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal and 2 assists against the Devils. Injury forces Bernie Nichols out. Oh, he's out only for 2 weeks. I was going to say, dang, I just traded him to the Caps and now he's falling to injury, but he's going to miss only 2 weeks. Strained back muscle. Okay. Strong night for Dave Christian with the Capitals. 3 goals and an assist. Then Mike Millar extends his goal streak to 5 games. Playing for the Capitals as well. He had a goal in that same game against the Flyers. Alright, Zino Ciccarelli extends his point streak to 14 games. He had a goal against the Blackhawks. John Anderson got hurt in Hartford. He's going to miss 5 months with a ruptured Achilles tendon. Ouch. I only had tendonitis in the Achilles when I was like 19 years old or 20 years old or something, and that hurt like a mother fudge sickler. No one could stop Sylvain Turgeon, who had a hat-trick 3 goals against the Nordiques. Alright, so last game of the month, we are hosting the Vancouver Canucks. They just beat us 2-1 in Vancouver right before Christmas, so I am looking to enact revenge here. Vancouver is now 6-31-1, still dead last in the Campbell Conference. Kirk McLean is going to be in net for Vancouver. Glenn Ely in net for us. Ah, that's better. We won 4-1 on home ice against the Canucks. 42-32, the shots on goal for this particular game in favor of the Kings. John Tonnelly was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Glenn Ely was the second star with 31 saves. And Dave Taylor was the third star with a goal. Another sellout crowd in LA, 16,005 people. Bob Carpenter opened up the scoring in the first from John Tonnelly. It was 1-0 Kings. Then Mike Ridley scored from Chris Contos and Randy Ladouceur. It was a 2-0 lead here after one. Then in the second period, Dave Taylor made it 3-0 from John Tonnelly, and then Mike Gartner scored his 35th unassisted. It was 4-0. And then in the third period, Greg Adams took the shutout away from Glenn Ely. And it was a 4-1 victory. No fights in this game. Wow, what happened? What happened to my fights? Brian Bradley's... I know, right? Especially in the 80s, like there's fights every game. I don't know what happened. Maybe I got a virus on my computer or something. Corrupted the fight file or something. Alright, Brian Bradley, assist streak ended at 9 games, so he didn't get a point against us. So that ended there. Wayne Gretzky's point streak ended at 20 games. He also didn't get a point against the Vancouver Canucks. Bobby Smith's assist streak ended at 8. Wow, a lot of streaks are ending today. So he did get a goal against the Flames, but no assists for him. And Dan Quinn extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal and 2 assists against the Flyers. Alright, we're gonna sim until it is January 1st. Oh, they probably still have the player polls thing going. That's gonna be the first time I see it in this game. Russ Fitzpatrick is on waivers. I will not claim him. Dynamic passing leads, productive night for Neil Broughton. Oh yeah, 6 assists against the Blues. Dino Ciccarelli lights the lamp. 4 goals and 2 assists in that same game. That was 15 straight games with a point for him. Pierre Turgeon extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal and an assist against the Washington Capitals. Alright, so the scouting, I usually don't... Oh, cool, they don't see right wing as a weakness anymore. So I only have a weakness at goalie anymore, apparently. I disagree. I don't like my deal that much. Oh, Alain Chevalier got new pads playing in Winnipeg, so hopefully that helps him. He's only a 1-star goaltender. I never really knew what the new equipment for goaltenders do, really. Dan Frawley is on the block. Boston, Winnipeg, and Buffalo are looking into it. Player polls result. Alright, so the best skater is Wayne Gretzky. Hardest shot, no surprise, is Al McInnes. Toughest guy is Jay Caulfield playing for Pittsburgh. Fastest is Paul Coffey in Pittsburgh as well. The best role model is Ron Francis in Hartford. The cleanest is Andy Brickley in Boston. Most controversial is Marty McSorley. Most overrated is Jimmy Carson in Edmonton. The most underrated is Bob Gainey in Montreal. Smartest player is Randy Gregg in Edmonton. The toughest goalie to beat is Patrick Roy. And the coach you'd most like to play for is Glenn Saylor in Edmonton. That's different for me because I usually play starting in 1992, right? And it's always Scotty Bowman. That's the coach you'd most like to play for. Alright, we are December 31st. We're going to advance that to January 1st. We're going to have a few pieces of emails. Alright, so Brian Stankiewicz is on waivers, not claiming him. 1-star goaltender. Tim Kerr is hurt in Philadelphia. Oh, he's going to miss 4 months. That's pretty much bringing them all the way to the end of the season without Tim Kerr. So we'll see if the Flyers make the playoffs. He might be back in the playoffs if they do. Dino Ciccarelli extends his point streak to 16 games. He had a goal against the Blues. Dan Quinn extends his goal streak to 7 games. He had a goal and 2 assists against New Jersey. Alright, so the most jerseys we sold for in December were Wayne Gretzky, Luc Robitaille, Dave Taylor, Mike Gartner, and Rolly Melanson. Now in the league, Mark Messier, Grant Fuhr, Patrick Roy, and then Wayne Gretzky. So Gretzky sold the 4th most jerseys in the entire league. And Brian Hayward still sold more jerseys than Steve Yzerman and Mario Lemieux. It is what it is, I suppose. Alright, so the players of the month. Pete Peters of the Washington Capitals was the goaltender of the month, and Wayne Gretzky wins player of the month for the 2nd month in a row. But he still hasn't had a 9-point game. What's up with that? Alright, we're gonna take a look at a couple things here. My dinner is ready. Thankfully, my girlfriend should have stopped the slow cooker for me because I went a little over. That's okay. Alright, so we're gonna take a look at the stats here. Alright, so Wayne Gretzky has 77 points in 39 games. Mike Gartner has 69 points in 39 games. Luc Robitaille 47 in 38. Mike Ridley 43 in 39. Then Dave Taylor, and then our best scoring defenseman is Steve Duchesne with 36 points in 36 games. So we are a very offensively minded team. Oh, one thing I forgot to do, and I forgot to do it in the last video too, is to look at the standings. Alright, so, we overcame the Oilers. Now we are atop of the Campbell Conference. We are 1 point ahead of the Oilers. We have 51 points. They have 50, but they have 1 game in hand, so they have 1 more game to play than us. So if they win that game, they're gonna leapfrog right back above us. Let's take a look here. Alright, so we are first in the... That's weird for me to look in the West or Campbell Conference. Alright, so... yeah, back then most teams were making the playoffs. It was just like that. There's actually 5 teams that will not make the playoffs this year in the entire league. Right, so in the East, Washington is first, then Philadelphia, Montreal, Pittsburgh, Hartford, Boston, New York Rangers, and New Jersey Devils. The Nordiques is the worst team, of course, in the Wales Conference. I knew that I was gonna struggle with the terms a couple times. Right, now let's take a look at the stats in the entire league. Right, so Wayne Gretzky is the best goal scorer. He has 41 goals, and then second place is Mike Gartner, which also belongs to me, so that's pretty cool. Although he's tied with Stéphane Richer at 35 goals each. Alright. Then for assists, the Rat Ken Lindsman is first, best passer in the league. Right, and for the points, it is Wayne Gretzky, 77 points so far. That's 8 more than second place Mike Gartner, who's also on my team, and that's not, the 69 is 9 more than third place Dan Quinn and Ken Lindsman at 60 each. Wow. Yeah, I think that getting Mike Gartner actually was probably a pretty good move, at least so far. I mean, the sample size is ridiculously small, of course, because I just acquired him this month. But I think that Gretzky and Gartner together is going to do a lot of great things for me. Alright, folks, I am going to stop here for today. I'm gonna go and eat the delicious lasagna that I made earlier today. It is finally ready. I'm gonna go fill my belly. And my Sens are not playing until Monday. In real life, we had a nice 4-1 victory in Dallas yesterday. It was pretty cool. But we don't play tonight, which is really rare for a Canadian team to not play on a Saturday. So Netflix it is tonight with my girlfriend. Anyway. So I hope you all have a great evening. As usual, thank you for tuning in. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys gals, and everybody later. Thank you.